So, direction. No.
We're good to go. Thanks. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the January 4th meeting of the Business Affairs and Licensing Committee. My name is Claire Brennan and I'm the chair of this committee. Tonight, we are joined by District Manager Jesus Perez and Community Coordinator Brian Lafferty. This meeting is called to order at 6:32 p.m. As a reminder, New York State law now requires all community board members who are not able to attend the meeting in person to have their cameras on and their first and last names displayed from the time the meeting is called to order until the time the meeting is adjourned. Members of the public who are attending virtually, you can raise any questions or comments that you have through the Q&A feature of Zoom. Members of the public who are here in person, you can raise any questions that you have by raising your hand. If there's any time following the committee's discussion, we will field questions from the public. We need a volunteer to take minutes tonight. If you are able to take minutes, please let us know. Susan will be taking minutes. Thank you very much. We will now take attendance by roll call and Brian will conduct the roll call.
Thank you. Committee members, I will call your name. When your name is called, please say present. I will announce if there is quorum. Claire Brennan.
Present.
Thank you. Paige Judge.
Present.
Thank you. John Keller.
Present.
Thank you. Anton Mulder.
Present.
Thank you. Kevin O'Keefe.
Present.
Thank you. Susan Steinberg.
Present.
Thank you. David Lowenstein. Thank you. Gerald Jones. I'm not hearing anything, so I'll move on. Okay, we have a board.
Thank you, Brian. The agenda for tonight's meeting was distributed ahead of time by the board office and is reflected on the screen before you. If there is no objection, we will adopt the agenda. Members of the committee, if you object to adopting the agenda, please raise your hand. Kevin.
Yeah, I know we had talked about this offline, but because of the timeliness and sensitivity of number 12, I would propose moving that up to number 1, and that being the Smiley Exotics, which is trying to open as early as tomorrow. I know Anton had brought something up about this as well.
Do I have the right agenda? I don't let it change.
In the last days of 2023, an agenda was sent by email. However, this particular application that Kevin is referencing came after that. And so we just stuck it up on the website for the public, but we didn't actually send an additional email with the holiday. We didn't want to spam everyone.
Okay.
So it's on the public facing agenda, but we didn't put anything, we didn't send an additional to the committee.
So if there's an objection, we have to vote on that.
If there's an objection, you guys, the fair thing to do would be just to vote to either to change that agenda as stated. If the vote passes, the agenda is changed. If the vote does not pass, then the agenda stays the way it is.
Permission to explain my, no?
No, I'm gonna explain what I already said to you. That should have not brought this up. This isn't a prioritized agenda. It just is a list of topics that we're going to be discussing. And we're gonna get through all of them tonight. So the timeliness doesn't apply here, but we can take a vote. Do you mind doing a roll call?
Sure. Committee members, I will take a vote by roll call on adopting the agenda.
So we'll vote to adopt the agenda as stated.
As it is before you. When your name is called, please say in favor, oppose, abstain, or abstain for cause. So I'm tired. Claire Brennan,
In favor.
thank you. Paige Judge,
Opposed.
thank you. John Keller,
In favor.
thank you. Anton Mulder,
In favor.
thank you. Kevin O'Keefe,
I'm opposed.
thank you. Susan Steinberg,
In favor.
thank you. David Lowenstein.
In favor.
Thank you. Gerald Jones. Not hearing anything? Okay, with 5 in favor, 2 opposed, the motion passes and the agenda is adopted.
Great, thank you. The agenda for tonight's meeting is adopted. The minutes, the minutes from the November 30th meeting and the October 26th meeting are being reviewed. They will be considered at the next meeting. That's my fault. Sorry, everyone. I'll do that when I find a minute. In order to conduct an efficient meeting, let's observe some ground rules. No one may speak until granted the full floor. Committee members who are here in person, if you have a question about committee business or wish to make a motion, please raise your hand and I will identify you so you can speak. Committee members who are unable to attend in person, if you have a question about committee business, you may raise your hand through Zoom and I will identify you so you can speak. All committee members, it is extremely important that only one person speaks at a time so that members of the public watching at home can understand what is being said by each committee member. The chat function for committee members present via Zoom should not be introduced for committee business or questions about agenda topics. All such remarks should be made on the record by raising your hand through Zoom. Chat should only be used to alert us to any technical difficulties you are having or to state in writing information like an email address that was already stated aloud on the record during the meeting. I just want to add one additional ground rule for tonight. I'm not sure if all of you know this, but I am getting married in 2 weeks and it's a miracle that I'm here in the first place because there's a ton to do. And I would just request that everyone keep their comments and anything that's mentioned as brief as possible because I'm trying to get out of here. With that being said, you know, some of them did get lots of emails. Okay. All jokes aside, we do have quite a few things to go over tonight, so let's get started with the first agenda item, a new application and temporary retail permit on-premise license for LMFNY doing business as Turtle Bay Tavern at 975 2nd Avenue. Is there a representative from Turtle Bay Tavern on the call? Mr. Powell, hello. Can you walk us through your application, please?
Good evening, everybody. My name's Bob Callahan from Michael Kelly Inc. With me is one of the owners, Mr. Ken McCoy. So this is an on-premise liquor license application for LMFNY LLC doing business as Turtle Bay Tavern. We're located at 975 2nd Avenue between 51st and 52nd Streets, East 51st and 52nd, which was the old Eddie's on 2nd. We'll be a bar tavern just like Eddie's was. We'll be serving a classic bar menu consisting of salads, sandwiches, burgers, entrees, and desserts. Our hours of operation will be 11 a.m. to 4 a.m., 7 days a week. We asked for these hours because that's the same hours that Eddie's had. We'll have 19 tables with 48 seats and a bar that will hold 14. We'll provide background music to our customers through an iPod or an iPad. We do have windows that open to the street. So we will, when the weather's nice and those windows are open, we'll have those closed by 10 p.m. During the week and then 11 Friday and Saturday. The owners of this establishment are proven operators. They have 3 other establishments in the area. 951 2nd Avenue, which has been in existence since 2007. 497 3rd Avenue since 2013, and 922 2nd Avenue since 2022. So they have businesses in the neighborhood, and they know what it's like, to run these businesses properly in these neighborhoods. The applicants are also the landlords of the building, so there'll be constant communication with the tenants and the neighbors. So should any kind of problems, come up, they'll be taken care of immediately. So if you have any questions for us, we'd be glad to answer them.
I'll put it out to the committee if there are any questions.
Yeah, are you purchasing this from Eddie's? The previous owners?
Ken, you want to unmute yourself? And
Yeah, we're doing a transfer.
we buying the assets from Eddie, so
Yeah, there's an asset transfer.
As I recall. the
Can you hear
previous
me?
owners- Yeah. As
Yeah.
I
Can you guys
recall-
hear me okay?
Yes. As I
Yeah,
recall,
sorry, thanks.
the previous owners lived upstairs. Are they still gonna stay?
No, we purchased the building from them in June. They left.
Thank you. I have no questions.
Thanks, Anton. Any questions from anyone else? I do see a member of the public has their hand up. Orit. We will unmute you in 1 second so you can ask your question. You should be able to talk now. Orit. Oh, I think you have to unmute yourself. Okay.
We're asking you to unmute. Okay, another.
Oh.
So. Should be.
Okay.
Oh. Okay.
I think the hand was up by mistake.
Oh,
And there's this, in the Q&A says mistake, sorry.
okay. No problem. Okay, great. So no other questions popped up during that little exercise. Are there any motions?
Call the question. And with a motion of no objection.
Second.
So what's your vote?
Should we go through the reso first?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Okay, so that's a resolution of no objection for a new on-premises license with a temporary permit for LMF NY LLC, doing business as Turtle Bay Tavern at 975 Second Avenue. Whereas Robert Callahan and Ken McCoy, applicant, and Robert Callahan, I should say, is a representative. Is that correct?
yes.
Appeared before the Business Affairs and Licensing Committee of Manhattan Community Board 6 on January 4th, 2024. CB6 having jurisdiction on the premises in the license application process. Whereas the applicant proposes to operate, the establishment, excuse me, proposes to operate as a restaurant.
I heard like.
Bar tavern.
Bar tavern.
Yeah, restaurant is what was put in the questionnaire.
Mhm.
Perhaps bar tavern is more accurate.
Bar tavern.
We do have a full kitchen.
Bar tavern with a full kitchen. or-
Is it bar slash tavern?
I
I
think.
think that's what it is.
Okay. Tavern. Whereas the establishment's proposed hours of operation are 11 a.m. to 4 a.m., 7 days a week. Is that correct? Yes.
That's what's on the questionnaire.
Applicant, is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you. Does the committee wish to include any stipulations? No. Okay. Do any members of the public, have any concerns?
Seems like not.
All right. So whereas no members of the community had any comments for or against. Therefore, be it resolved that pursuant to the presentation made by a representative at the meeting of the Business Affairs and Licensing Committee held on January 4th, 2024, pursuant to all other considerations, CB6 has no objection to the application. So long as the applicant adheres to all the representations made by the representative to the committee. Shall I read the last one?
The last paragraph just says that if the SLA gets an application from the applicant that it's significant, that differs from what was represented here today, then the community board opposes.
And I will now take a vote by roll call. When your name is called, please answer in favor, oppose, abstain for clause. Claire Brent,
In favor.
thank you. Paige Judge,
In favor.
thank you. John Keller,
Favor.
thank you. Anton Mulner,
In favor.
thank you. Kevin O'Keefe,
In favor.
thank you. Susan Steinberg,
In favor.
thank you. David Lawrence,
favor.
thank you. And Gerald Jones, if not.
Evan, was it you who seconded it?
I did.
Okay, thank you.
So the 7 votes in favor, 0 opposed, 0 abstaining, and 0 abstaining for cause not entitled, the motion passes.
Great.
Could I
Thank you.
Could I just point something out real quick? Yeah, I know it's a bar restaurant, but I think because of the fact that there's a full kitchen, the SLA considers it a restaurant. I just don't want any confusion when it goes to the State Liquor Authority.
Should we put bar/tavern with a full kitchen to match the language that's on the 30-day notice?
Thank you. That will do it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, next up is a cannabis retail dispensary license for MASJLS LLC, doing business as TBD at 1004 to 1008 Second Avenue. Is there a representative from this establishment here tonight?
Yes, good evening. Turn the camera on. Hi, my name's Garrett Crisco. I'm here with my colleague Connor Yost. We are from Opus Consulting, the applicant's business consultants.
Great. Can you walk us through your application?
Certainly. So this is a adult use cannabis retail dispensary license as part of the general application period, not to be mistaken with the card application. The applicant is Ashley Sanford. She is a disabled veteran who applied for the license with the social and economic equity priority. I do want to point out that we tuned into the last meeting. And I know there was some confusion about the address that was posted on, or that was listed on the notification in municipality form. Just to clarify, the lease is defined as the 1004-1008 address, but the planned operation will take place in the 1004 portion of the building. So I just wanted to clarify that, as I know that was brought up at the last meeting. And we're happy to answer any other questions that the committee may have.
Great. Are there questions from the committee? Kevin?
Yeah, good evening. Hey, the applicant, Mr. Terzi, was in the last meeting. And he applied a separate application for part of this address. I think I speak for a couple others when we were a little bit confused. If you get the license for only one part of the space, will you be using the other part too? It seems like there's an overflow of those two licenses.
Yes. So to clarify, we are not associated with Mr. Terzi's application, the 10042TH, I think the name of the LLC is. We are a separate applicant for the same address, essentially. But we would be, if we received the license and would be received it and conducted operations before the other applicant at this location, was to begin operations, we would be only using the portion of the property that's at 1004. We won't be using anything at 1008.
Do you have a signed lease?
We do.
You do. Do you know, to your knowledge, does the other applicant have a signed lease?
I cannot speak, I cannot confirm or deny.
This space is the old Mangiore restaurant. As I recall, years ago when I've gone there, it's a huge, huge space. Are you gonna be using all of it?
Do you want to touch on that, Connor?
Yeah, I mean, it's not entirely sure what the planned layout is at the moment, but I think, you know, our client and, you know, us helping them will, you know, do our best to make a layout that's most suitable for a dispensary. So, you know, whether that includes some space that could potentially be unused, I'm not entirely sure, but I think, you know, we'll follow best practices to try to fit that out as appropriately as possible.
So just to be clear, are you renting the entire old La Mangeoire or are you renting a piece of it?
We are renting a piece of it. The way our lease is written is, or the way the client's lease is written is a property having an address at 1004-1008 Second Ave, also known as 301 East 53rd. That I just read directly from the lease.
Yeah, I've been in that place that's, as Anton in that restaurant many, many times. I used to live a block away from it.
Okay.
So what are you gonna do with all the rest of the space? I mean, I'm just confused, that's all.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we have you know, a specific answer yet, because, you know, that may evolve, you know, if and when a license is issued. But I mean, I can say that, you know, I know they intend to utilize it as best possible, but I don't think, you know, there's any goal of like subletting unused space or anything like that.
Susan?
Wouldn't the lease have square footage?
Yeah.
I mean, wouldn't you be able to know from the lease how much space you had?
Yeah, what I'm saying is that I just, they don't know the precise layout of what this is going to be yet. I mean, those will be steps that'll be taken if a license is granted. So I don't want to overstep what, you know, they have planned out or may be planned out later on.
Well, you were reading from the lease just a while ago. You mean that nowhere in that, there's not even a range of square feet or approximation? I'm just kind of stunned. Sorry.
No, I mean,
I wouldn't sign a lease unless I knew exactly what I was signing for.
certainly, and you know, like I said, it does say, so there's two separate kind of definitions it says in here. It says the land, it defines the land as the property at that 1004-1008 address. And then it defines the premises as the ground floor of the building commonly known as 1004 Second Ave. And as an appendix, there is an attached floor plan that shows the floor plan for the 1004 Second Ave location, but there's no total square footage listed on that appendix.
Are there individual square footages for the area? I mean, whatever, I'm having a hard time here.
Are there any other questions? Just,
Yeah, sorry, just one more.
I'm actually gonna ask one first.
Okay, sorry. of course.
So just to be clear, this is an application for a retail dispensary, but this is just, you're just selling products. There's not gonna be any on-site consumption.
Correct. There will be no on-site consumption.
Kevin?
And this is, you had mentioned the social equity aspect. So, but this is not necessarily a card application, correct? Because that program is a bit on hold until April, I believe. This is a general license, is that correct?
Yes, you are correct in that.
And are there any other cannabis businesses that the same applicant owns or has put in an application for?
We put in an application for the general round that ended on November 17th, the one where if you had applied with a location, you received priority. But we also submitted an application without a set location since with the lottery aspect.
But no others and other addresses in the city or the state?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Or questions from folks online? I'm not seeing any hands.
2,000 square feet. 1949 to be exact.
Oh, good year.
Are there any motions?
I'll make a motion of no objection to approve this business.
I'll second.
Okay. Shall we go through the resolution? All right,
I should say support this business, not approve it. That's OCM's job.
a resolution of no objection for a new license to operate a cannabis retail dispensary for MAS JLS LLC doing business as to be determined at 1004 Second Avenue. Whereas Garrett Crisco, representative, and Connor Yost, representative, appeared before the Business Affairs and Licensing Committee of Manhattan Community Board 6 on January 4th, 2024, CB6 having jurisdiction of the premises in the license application process. Whereas the establishment proposes to operate as a cannabis retail dispensary. Whereas the establishment's proposed hours of operation are 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., 7 days a week, is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Does the committee wish to include any stipulations?
I guess not.
Whereas no members of the community had any comments for or against. Therefore, be it resolved that pursuant to the presentation made by the applicant, representative at the meeting of the Business Affairs and Licensing Committee held on January 4th, 2024, and pursuant to all other considerations, CB6 has no objection to the application, so long as the applicant adheres to all of the representations made by the representative to the committee. Shall I read the last?
You can just summarize it. It
Uh,
just says
then-
that it-
Yeah, the last be it further resolved clause just says that if there's a different method of operation or any other any misrepresentations that the Community Board 6 opposes the application.
Thanks, Brian. Now we can vote.
So I'll now take vote by roll call. When your name is called, please answer in favor, opposed, abstain, or abstain for cause not entitled. Claire Brennan,
In favor.
thank you. Paige Judge,
In favor.
thank you. John Keller,
In favor but confused.
thank you. Anton Mulder,
In favor.
thank you. Kevin O'Keefe,
In favor.
thank you. Susan Steinberg,
Abstain.
thank you. David Lawrence.
In favor.
Thank you. And Gerald Jones is with us, with 6 votes in favor, 1 abstention, 0 opposed, and 0 abstaining for cause not entitled. Motion passes.
Thank you for joining us and answering our questions to the best of your ability. We wish you best of luck.
Thanks.
Thank you for your time. Happy New Year.
Up
Happy New
next,
Year.
Happy New Year.
Good year.
Up next is cannabis retail dispensary license for His and Hers Cannabis Corporation doing business as TBD at 716 3rd Avenue. Is there a representative from this applicant here? I think I see someone.
Hey guys, this is Junaid Zahid and Hilal Saidi.
I'm actually friends with the Saidi family for the past, I would say 20 years, and I helped him found this location and to apply for this cannabis license. Um, just to give a little background on myself, I work in real estate for a real estate media company for the past 15 years. And I've been friends with the Saidi family, like I said, for about 25 years. They're uh, they've been in retail business for the past, I believe, 40 years. His father started opening delis around New York City about 40 years ago, and Hilal is he just got into it a couple of years ago. So we are applying for a cannabis license at this location, 716 3rd Avenue. We also applied as a social and economic equity applicant as well, as a minority. And our hours of operations will be from 10 o'clock in the AM to 8 PM, 7 days. We are looking to hire locally, obviously, and also we also have a security plan in place. We have consulted with a security company to get us, security cameras, make sure the entrance and exits of the stores are all secured, and also security guards. So we'll have about 3 to 4 security guards on premises, 1 outside and 2 inside, to make sure that everything that goes that happens in and outside of the store is secured. And Hilal will give you more information on how he runs to plan his, I mean, how he runs plans to run his business. Sorry.
Hi, my name is Halal Saidi. I'm the owner of His and Hers Cannabis Corporation. I have a layout as the first customer that goes in. There's a reception. He goes through the reception. He's gonna have a history with us. Then he goes inside the store to see the products, and hopefully that's good reception as for the customers. And there will be a seating area outside, and we'll go by two people in one time. And if there's any questions, we're ready.
Great. Thank you both for being here. Are there any questions from committee members?
Is this for the corner space?
Yes.
It is. Yes.
So there's someone selling weed and CBD
Yeah,
on
so
the.
that's
their
one
name.
of the reasons.
Relationship to it?
Yeah, so we, I am, I know Corner Store Management Company. I work for the Real Deal magazine, and I know a lot of these landlords, and they told us that that's the reason why they gave Hilal the LOI, is because the guys that are currently in there have broken the lease by selling illegal stuff already.
So
So
you have no relationship to that tenant.
we're going to get no relationship. So once we get the license, they're going to get kicked out.
Understood. Thank you.
Yeah.
So it is the same name though, currently, His and Hers.
His and Her Cannabis Corp is Hilal's name, yes.
But the name of the shop that's there currently is called His and Hers Cannabis, I believe.
They just put the sign. They just know because they found out we're applying because I did the flyers outside, and they seen the name, so I think they copied us, trying to get us mad or anything. Because I put the flyers on the corner, and I think one of the owners seen the name of the new dispensary if I get accepted, so I think they did it on purpose just to show us. Because I put the flyers like 3 weeks ago or a month.
The sign's been up for longer than that, I believe.
Okay.
It's
Were you saying something?
No, I was just gonna add that there, because of my relationship with the landlord itself, they told us that we will be getting, once, that's the reason why we got the LOIs, because the guys that are currently in there they broke the lease by selling the stuff that they're selling.
Do you know when they will be leaving? The current,
So
Oh.
once we have, they're already in court. The landlord is trying to kick them out. But once we have a formal approval from the OCM, and we could show the landlord that we can legally operate in that spot, then we'll have a better chance of getting that spot. And
Don't you
they're
need a lease to
they've
get
already defaulted on the
authority?
lease.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Don't you need a lease? You have to show that you have the lease to OCM in order for them to approve you.
LOI, so the lease is the first priority, but the second one is the LOI. So a letter of intent is also, um, usable. And then the third option is without a specific spot. That's the lottery system. So the first one is obviously if you have a current lease, you get the first priority. But if you don't, then you go into the second priority level, which is an LOI.
Kevin?
It seems like the landlord has a hell of a lot of leverage. If you don't have your lease and he knows you get a license, he can up that price. This is a really, I mean, I'm sorry, but that puts him in some leverage that I wouldn't want to be in your shoes.
But the LOI clearly states, it's also signed by the landlord, that the rent is going to be this much for the first 5 years, which is 24,000. So he cannot really change that.
We sure about that?
It's just a letter of intent.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, but I've been through.
No, I totally understand. Yeah, I hope he doesn't. I work with the same landlord on the real estate side on a lot of places. You better not change it.
Real Deal will do a story if he doesn't.
Right. John?
Yeah, first of all, as to the lease, the amount of the lease, caveat emptor, I mean, you gotta be sure about that. I'm happy, I would approve this with the stipulation that we state in the approval that there is no relationship between the business that you're gonna open and the business that for an undetermined period of time has called itself his and hers. That's
I'll
the
second.
That is totally understandable. Yep. There is no relationship with them. You could fact check it if you want.
So that was a motion that was seconded just now.
Well, I was just saying, when we do the resolution, one guy would make a motion that there be a stipulation to the effect of the words that I just said.
Are there any other questions?
There, I think is a comment in the Q&A.
Okay.
So Ortsy says it's been listed as his and hers since they opened this summer. From day one, I live on the block.
Do you have a response to that question? Someone says that it's been listed as his and hers since since they opened this summer, from day one, and this person lives on the block.
Hilal, do you want to answer that?
Yes, because me and my brothers are partners of this his and hers corporation. Maybe my brother passed by and see the name and he liked it. I have to make sure from him, but no relationship, no nothing with the owners of the store right now. Because my brother told me about that name. So when I did the flyers, I came and I seen the sign. I seen the name on the sign. I was like, which is crazy. So I don't know if my brother liked the name and he told me that he seen it there or not. But we have no relationship with the owners or nothing.
Okay. I just want to remind you that this is going to be part of the public record.
Yes.
That is on the record, and that's.
Is there a way to find out who was the owners of the? I mean, if there's a way that we could try to find out, but as far as I know.
May I answer that?
Yeah.
The Department of Buildings has a search function where you can put in the address and it will bring up a lot of information, including, it should bring up the owner's name. New City Department of Buildings.
That gives you the info on the owner of the building. I know who the owner of the building is, but owner of the business is very hard to find.
Is there a way, can we extend this to a 60-day and maybe circle back after we've done some more research? Because I think the clock would still be in our favor, right? If we bring this back next month?
No,
I'm looking at Jesus. No, we're still on the, we're, okay.
this is the sixth.
Right.
It has to be heard tonight.
We've already-
Because they were here
Because-
last time.
Because they were here last time, you guys wanted to see them.
Gotcha. Okay, gotcha. The clock's already ticking.
Would it be appropriate to reach out to the landlord ourselves? Would that be beyond our scope?
Yeah, I mean, definitely you can.
I know this landlord. I know him. But I don't know if he'll tell me who the current tenant is.
To what degree is the kerfuffle over the name significant in terms of what they're trying to achieve?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I think it's significant just to be sure that these are independent entities. That would be the only point of that. Because it isn't-
Just
it's not
to
like-
make another point, I was gonna,
Excuse me, I didn't call on you yet, so, just give us 1 second.
His and hers is not an everyday name, so two companies that happen to have the same name, I want to be sure there's actually separate.
And the current operation is illegal.
Then the current
And-
operation is illegal.
I do think that that's something we want to avoid is kind of like rewarding illegal operations that we obviously oppose, with a license when someone might have been waiting to open an establishment. And didn't do that because it was illegal.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Thank
I have
you.
a question.
Yes.
I mean, if, as an example, if I was the owner of the space right now and it's called his and hers and I applied for the license, I know the operation is illegal. I won't put the same name as on my corporation because I know you guys are gonna find out. So that wouldn't make sense.
It's a good point.
So if I know that you're gonna see the store and you know you're from the area, why would I put the same name and you know it's operating illegally?
Because you want the same customers that are going to the illegal shop to come back saying it's still there.
Well,
Yeah, sign discount. That is the point. So that hopefully clarifies some things, but
yes.
I think John has a fair stipulation and we enter that.
I think it protects both sides.
Yes, you have a yeah. You could make sure we're not the owners and.
that sounds good. Is there a
I
motion?
call the question with the stipulation.
Call the question, motion of no.
I'll second that.
Motion.
And then Anton second with that.
Second.
So we go through the template. So it's a resolution of no objection for a new license to operate a cannabis retail dispensary for his and hers Cannabis Corp. Doing business as to be determined at 716 3rd Avenue.
Is that accurate, or are you all going to be doing business as
I'm,
his?
yeah, you could remove my name. I'm just, I'm just friends with the Saidi family. I'm helping them with the locations and paperwork.
But he's here
You're here,
on the
so
public.
I am here,
record.
yeah. Oh, okay, cool. I didn't read the whole thing.
that doesn't mean that,
Yeah.
like,
But he didn't address Claire's question. Is your trade name, have you picked, is your trade name that you're gonna be showing to the public his and hers cannabis, or is it
Oh,
something else?
we don't know that. We don't know yet. It's after we get somewhere with the license, we'll be doing business as something else. That's just the corp name for now.
So it's TBD for
So it is to be determined.
TBD, yeah. Here's the
Okay.
list.
Whereas Halal Saidi applicant and Junaid Zahid representative appeared before the Business Affairs and Licensing Committee of Manhattan Community Board 6 on January 4th, 2024, CB6 having jurisdiction of the premises in the license application process. Whereas the establishment proposes to operate as a cannabis retail dispensary. Whereas the establishment's proposed hours of operation are 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., 7 days a week. Is that correct?
Yes.
I know, to include a stipulation, that
Yeah, but that, the new owners, the new lessors, the new people leasing this property have no business relationship with the current operators of an illegal cannabis shop at the same location, doing business as his and hers.
Yes.
Sorry.
Current for the
Should we put, whereas the applicant has stated
Yes.
that
Applicant has stated that they have no relationship,
Business, I would say no business relationship.
no business relationship.
And reports that it will change the name, not to reflect the legal business. Even though we don't know which one papers.
Yes, it's fine for us. We will change the name.
Or illegal business.
Yeah, it's illegal business. That's right. Thank you.
So the current legal business at the location, and the applicants
So legal to the landlord won't take their rent.
has stated that they will not operate with the same business.
You got a good one.
Big green
It's
sign.
been around for ages.
3 foot letters.
So we wouldn't be in the operation unless.
Right. I've tried to sign a few leases. It's never worked out.
It's not licensed at all.
Reasons like those.
But brand new, clean,
The cloudy.
in the lighting.
Whereas no members of the community had any comments for or against. Therefore, be it resolved that pursuant to the presentation made by the applicant and representative.
well, that's not exactly true. It was, we had at least one comment here and then another comment online that specified that the current trade name of the illegal business is the same as the corporate name of the applicant. So we should mention that so that that ties the two clauses together and makes more sense. In fact, you just switch the clauses order so that that one comes first and then that second one makes more sense. At least that tells the narrative a little bit more clearly for anyone who would read the resolution coming after.
And would we be confident to say the business, the legal business been under that name from at least whatever this summer? Because that's a pretty important fact. According to, according to
We should, that it's
observers of.
reported to him.
Exactly.
Whereas some members of the committee had comments that what was to say, have reported that there has been an illegal business at the location since the summer.
Well, under that name.
Under the same, is summer of 2023.
Under the same name as the current applicant.
That's the current applicant since the summer of 2023.
Same corporate name. Because there's a DBA that still has to be done.
Same corporate names and as the current applicant since the summer of 2023.
That sounds good.
And then and after that, whereas the applicant has stated they have no business relationship to the current illegal business at the location, and the applicant has stated they will not operate with the same name.
Has no business, as David said, current or past. I think. If you're putting it in present, that means they could have had one in the past.
No business relationship to the current or past illegal business at the location.
Also, no current or past relationship, business
No
relationship.
current or past business relationship. to the legal business at the location.
Or maybe previous instead of past. Sorry, my editor's notes. Sorry.
Previous business relationship to the legal business at the location, and the applicant has stated that they will not operate with the same name. Okay, therefore, be it resolved that pursuant to the presentation made by the applicant and representative at the meeting of the Business Affairs and Licensing Committee held on January 4th, 2024, and pursuant to all other considerations, CB6 has no objection to the application, so long as the applicant adheres to the representations made by the applicant and representative to the committee. And then, as you said in the past, the last clause is be further resolved that if the OCM application contains either a different method of operation or if there are any misrepresentations to an Community Board 6, and when Community Board 6 opposes the application, urges the OCM to deny the application based on that misrepresentation.
You can get rid of the bracket before.
Yes.
We'll clean it up then.
Yeah, we'll clean it up later.
Good eye.
My turtle did that together too.
So, we'll now, take the vote, by roll call. When your name is called, please answer in favor, oppose, abstain, or untyped. Claire Brennan,
In favor.
thank you. Paige Judge,
In favor.
thank you. John Keller,
In favor.
thank you. Anton Mulner,
In favor.
thank you. Kevin O'Keefe,
In favor.
thank you. Susan Steinberg,
In favor.
thank you. David Lawrence, in favor. Thank you. With 7 votes in favor, 0 opposed, 0 abstaining, and 0 abstaining for pausing the title, motion passes.
Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you very much, guys. Have a
Thank
good
you.
evening.
The best of luck.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is a cannabis micro business license for Angelo La Roche doing business as TBD at 352 East 23rd Street. And is there a representative here?
Yes, it's me. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Great. Yeah.
Welcome. I just wanted to add a little context for the committee. If you might not know, I'm under the impression that a micro business means that the business also has to grow their own cannabis and the cannabis that they are selling. So as opposed to the licenses that we've seen so far, those groups are getting cannabis from elsewhere, whereas a micro business grows their own.
Grows or cultivates.
Or cultivates. Thank you. So just wanted to put that out there, but welcome, and if you could walk us through your application and give us a little bit more information about yourselves, that would be appreciated.
Awesome. So first, thank the board for allowing this opportunity. My name is Angelo La Roche.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Priyakumar.
We are the founders of Green Club, located at 352 East 23rd Street. I am the applicant, and we are in the general application pool, not card, but I am also a social equity applicant with a signed lease, and we have the first 3 months already rocking and rolling. Green Club is a micro business cannabis company, different from just a dispensary. Yes, we can vertically integrate somewhat of that farm to table type of approach, but that's not all we can offer. We have the flexibility to also buy like a dispensary, but in our case, we can also create our own products. But with a micro business, we are focused on ending the stigma around cannabis through education, empowerment, and experiences. Education through teaching the community about the plant and its benefits, training and empowering those that want to learn, grow, and educate on how to consume in the proper ways, and then as well as providing these kind of innovative experiences for consumers. New York will be flooded with hundreds, if not thousands, of just regular dispensaries in the coming years. So being one of New York's first micro businesses with a mission like ours, it allows us to really create a positive mark around that expansion of cannabis in New York. So today, if you go right down First Avenue into one of those two smoke shops on the right, underage kids can just go ahead and buy weed. With Green Club, it's strictly about responsibilities. So adults 21 and over can come and learn and grow and learn about responsible consumption. For me, I grew up in New York City my entire life. I did get my undergraduate degree from Manhattanville College in Purchase, New York, but I got my master's in business from Cornell Tech right over the water on Roosevelt Island.
And hi, I'm actually a luxury wedding planner. So to the bride that's on this table, I don't know how you're here and doing it, but I've been in business. I created my company almost 14 years ago, and we do luxury weddings all around the world. So I partnered with Angelo to understand how to bring this into experiences and events, because I'm noticing that there is a massive market of people that are really trying to shy away from alcohol. And how do you incorporate gifting or, cannabis related experiences into actual events, which is something that we want to be the pioneers of. So really it's about focusing on experiences, really focusing on the grow, really focusing on educating people about the products.
And with a micro business, not a dispensary, this allows us to have a differentiated set of experiences and product. Like I said, that farm to table, but with micro businesses, you can vertically integrate, whereas they limit all the other applicants so that they can only specifically focus on one part of the value stream there. For us, the focus is responsibility, not revenue, safety, not just sales, because responsibility is at the forefront of what we do. And we plan to have multiple layers of security to ensure a safe and clean, friendly environment. Part of our space is a small, somewhat classroom-like space to the left of the 2,200 square feet property. And that's what we call our classroom, where we're going to have these trainings so that, the average person doesn't know that what they consume is a sexually frustrated female plant. Exactly. It's the kind of stuff that we teach the community so that they can know exactly what it is that they're consuming. With Priya being a luxury wedding planner, she understands flow and experiences. What does something look like, feel, taste, touch? So we're bringing all of that into the cannabis world. We have ideas like Flower and Flowers Day, where 1.4 billion pounds of flowers are wasted annually at weddings. So with her relationships, we actually will be getting a lot of these refurbished flowers and offering that to any patron that comes into our operation. So we really look to be about the community in a very cool and edgy way. Like I said, New York received 4,000 plus applications for just the retail dispensary, and a lot less for the micro business because it's a lot of work. But we really are aiming to help create a different feel for what it is to walk into a location and actually purchase products. For the space, it's 2,249 square feet. It's 2 floors. As mentioned about the grow, the second floor, the basement would be where some of the grow is. It's only about 700 square feet. So we would have a small kind of craft grow, if you would. And that's the approach that we're taking, while also having the flexibility and variety of leveraging from other growers to bring that to the public. We applied on November 17th with the priority round with a signed lease. We plan to have security guards at all times with 24-hour surveillance, given the nature of what we're doing. I'm truly happy to answer any questions around it.
Great. Thank you so much both for being here. Maybe I got married too early. I could have said I can't, but just
give me a call, girl. I got you,
I love it. I am fascinated by the micro business. So you said that you would be growing a few plants downstairs. Are you going to be teaching folks how to grow on their own? Is that part of your programming?
Yeah, if you were to walk into the property now, there is this like storefront kind of view, but if you continue, there is this small I think it's about 9 by 10 foot kind of space where the bathrooms are, and that we see it as, I don't know if you guys have ever taken driving courses growing up, you know, the 5-hour course. It's a small little classroom. We want to have that feel, as well as bring in any speakers to kind of talk about cannabis. So that is our very mighty little property. Heck, if we had more space, we would do a lot more. But for our initial rollout, this is kind of how we foresee using it. So being able to allow people to come in, take a course, understand, very different feel than just truly coming into a store and just buying flower or a product.
Great. I saw Susan's hand up.
Yeah, I was just really curious whether that plant behind you is a female sexually.
It might be a little frustrated.
You don't have to answer that.
I can't pronounce the gender, but yes, exactly. You know, that is the kind of things that we're looking to teach people, and pardon the example, but I know that Stark one usually hits, and that's exactly what we do. And we've been doing this for a couple of years, building the brand, being about growing and teaching. And now that the application portal opened, we were prime and ready to apply.
Another question for you, is this is your first location, or are you looking at other locations in the city?
First and only.
Great. Anton?
Yeah, have you pretty much scoped out what your hours of operation are going to be? I saw it was indeterminate on the application.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't sure if there was a, what's the word? A tether towards what I would submit into the application. I think part of open questions that we might have now as a business is working with the Office of Cannabis Management and abiding by any rules. You know, if I had to just guess, you know, 10 to 10, perhaps 10 to 8. You know, we would try to be open as much as possible, given that we're for the community. But if there was a community guideline towards hours of operation, we're flexible towards abiding by that. So that was my approach with leaving it open.
Kevin?
Because you're micro, can you tell us about the separate licenses you have for either on the farming or cultivation side?
So with
Go
ahead. With a micro, you don't need other license types. Micro allows you to vertically integrate, but you have a cap at your grow space, but everything else is fair game. So we can cultivate, we can process, we can distribute. Heck, we can grow and distribute to other micro businesses. We can get product and label it with our brand within our offering. So it provides that flexibility, whereas a retail dispensary truly just works with the distributors, and they have to kind of just funnel out, widget in, widget out. Whereas we have a little bit more variety there. So we do plan, like I said, the basement's just 700 square feet, so it's not a large space to have a. We couldn't even maximize our grow because our space in total is 2,200 feet, and the max is 3,500 feet for a micro business.
I'm inclined to support this, but I just wanted to point out I have heard from a couple of school administrators, and I just wanted to put that out there so you're aware. I think it's helpful for both sides. It's about 500 feet from the Simon Baruch Junior High School. It's about 800 feet from Epiphany School's lower school for K through grade 3, and it's about the same distance from PS 347, which is K through, I believe, 8th grade. It's on a short corridor, as I'm sure you know, that includes McDonald's. And this is a stretch that school administrators have pointed out to me that they're concerned may surface some issues because that's a big place where kids hang out. I know security is going to be key here. Can you talk a little bit about that and maybe even address, because I think at least one of them maybe is listening in tonight from the school. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the layout that we're designing, we plan to build an entranceway that funnels the audience directly to the security guard. And that is how we would manage the let's just say crowd coming in. So that is very different from just kind of an open-ended storefront. And that funnel, consider it, one or two people being able to come in at a single time would allow us to truly safeguard that anyone coming in is of age and appropriate, but also ensure that it's not necessarily a place of fun and games. I know the neighboring stores, and I tried to understand the neighborhood a bit. But with that approach of the security, weather dependent, but we plan on having security out in front of the store as well. So those measures should help us. And again, we are pioneering this, whereas for the dispensaries, the retail dispensaries, they could piggyback off of things that were done with the card program. Again, we are happy to follow by any rules to help mitigate and reduce any risk, because we understand that responsibility is key.
And would you be willing to meet if in, say, cases where if the school leadership administration wants to sit down and understand better about what you're doing?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if anything, we would love to be a part of their, sounds bizarre, but curriculum to help educate on these things. Again, new territory in terms of education around cannabis, but we're building an entire academy, and any way that we can help bring that into the mainstream world in a healthy, responsible, and ethical way, we're absolutely open to that.
And just to add to that, we're living in a world now where, younger children, by the time they're older, weed was never going to be a stigma for them because it was always legal for them. So the stigma for this younger generation, it doesn't have the same effects as it does for the older generation. I hate to put myself in that category, but it's just as me in my 40s now, like it's just a little bit different compared to what I'm noticing in the teens. And so I think that's one avenue that we can actually implement this in an educational way, because we're almost in like the prohibition age of weed becoming like legal, alcohol becoming legal. So our goal is to find healthy ways of education, which is why that's such a big, important part of this mission, is to educate people that literally when, Angelo talks to people about it, he literally puts the plant on the table and says, this is what you're smoking, versus this, oh, you're going to a legal bodega and you're getting something and you ask half the people, do you know what you're smoking? And they say, I don't know. And so we don't want there to be this, I don't know. We want there to be this pure understanding of exactly what it is, so that we can come across and end that stigma of these crazy deaths or it being like laced with something, like none of that, right? We want to show people that you can use this responsibly, just like you can use alcohol responsibly, with a glass of wine versus killing 5 bottles, right?
Thanks for the time. I want more. This is important. Thank you for the. So their concern is not the stigma. I agree with the stigma. Let's get rid of the stigma. The concern is studies that I have been shared by schools and others that the developing brain, cannabis on the developing brain, I guess the science is still sort of out there. So that's the type of thing. They weren't talking about the stigma necessarily, but more about that part of it. I just want to be clear about that.
And I think there's been a lot of research about that, regardless. So are there any other questions here?
Motion, no objection.
Second.
There are some.
There's some questions from
Oh.
the members of the public.
Okay, I will let the members of the public speak, but if you were not here at the beginning of the meeting, I will encourage you to keep your questions and statements brief. So first up, Nilofer Vahora. Give us a second to.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you?
We can hear you.
Okay, great. My name is Nilofer Vohora. I'm a owner in 385 First Avenue, which is a building above this location. I am currently 6 months pregnant. My husband and I are welcoming a child into this world, and I feel very uncomfortable with having a business such as this directly downstairs where I will be walking my baby, and there will be, and I have a lot of concern around the events that you say that you'll be running to, I'm very concerned about crowds of people congregating at all hours of the day and the evening, noise, disagreements, altercations that may be related to this, because you are going to, it sounds like, going to be hosting events as well, and creating a place of gathering.
Yeah, I appreciate that. As it relates to the events, I think part of what I was explaining was what we've done to this point around education. So to be very honest, we're not hosting parties in the space. It's more of a classroom environment with a micro business. There, it provides for that flexibility. So, so you won't have to worry about events and it being a cannabis smelling type of environment. We obviously understand that there are, you know, if you walk into a bar, if you walk into a liquor store, it doesn't smell like alcohol. So we're truly here for responsibility, proper consumption, proper usage, not congregation either. I understand that there's a bus stop right in the front, and would hope that any attention is fairly, you know, allocated accordingly. The same with the McDonald's, right? But again, we are truly aiming to filter the appropriate adults that want to consume. And as far as the environment, we're not just a dispensary where I could understand the hangups around a dispensary, where we're truly trying to be about the community. Heck, for the last prisoner project last year, we raised several $100s, and that program helps release inmates that were wrongfully accused of cannabis conviction. So we are doing everything we possibly can for the community. And if there's other suggestions, if there's ways to work with parents like yourself, we are more than happy to find a happy medium.
Thank you.
One more question, will there be consumption in your location?
So the micro business allows for true vertical integration from cultivation all the way to on-site consumption. We don't have much space, and we are understanding the concerns. So if that is a massive concern, then that absolutely can be, again, we're really trying to be flexible around how do we bring this to the community. And for us, this doesn't have to be our only space. So that if there are concerns, we can move certain things to a different location. But for now, this is our only space, and we are not looking to do consumption at this moment.
Okay.
Are you planning to ventilate the space to mitigate any smells?
Absolutely, absolutely. Again, we're taking all measures that consider a luxury bar or a luxury restaurant would have. Where the property already has a kitchen and has some vents, but we absolutely will look to make sure that we do that.
So it vents to the rooftop. Is that where it goes? The kitchen vent that's there?
I would.
Sure, you're not coming out onto the sidewalk and seeping up to the residents above.
No, it's not.
Okay.
Okay, Joseph Gambella has a question.
Okay, should be able to talk.
We can hear you.
Great, thank you. Yeah, and in the spirit of being brief, and let me lower my hand so I don't forget. So I'm the president and treasurer of the building, 385 First Avenue. So it's called the Coda. This is one of the commercial units. ProHealth is the one that you have on screen, and M&T is the other side of it. So this middle unit is, is ultimately part of our building as well. So outside of Nilofer that you just heard from, I've also received several emails, text messages, people stopping me on the street that live in the building that all have the same concerns. And some of the points that were not mentioned yet that, like I said, I'll keep brief, is you, of course, like you can certainly control the actual consumption of the product within your own establishment, within those four walls. You can't really enforce it once you hit the street. We already have enough people because that is a very transient corner where you do get smells from any random person walking that does come up into the building. I live on the 15th floor personally, and I even get it when I'm out on my terrace. And I know it's not anyone else around me because there are many terraces in the building. There's also been complaints to go so far as to say that there's a current measure that's being put to vote for all the residents of amending our smoking policy, like wholeheartedly. That's from actually using the product, any kind of a product, whether it's tobacco or marijuana, inside the building.
Is there a question here?
Yeah, so the question, there's a few questions. One, if there's going to be public access or there's going to be access to the basement, that basement also, you know, touches into our property, the actual residents. So what's the mitigating factor there? The second question would be, you know, I know you mentioned security. So what exactly does that mean? Like, is there always going to be a person waiting at the front door that is checking to make sure everyone is of legal age, as well as there's no bad actors that are going in and out? Those were the first two that ultimately come to mind. And then, you know, just echoing the other comments from earlier, the fact that this is on the same street as several different playgrounds and schools, regardless of the fact that it's an educational building, you know, how can the committee consider a no objection vote to this? That's the general question. So I'll stop there.
Let him answer first.
Okay. Oh,
Do you all
Yes.
have a response? Thanks. You could go ahead.
Yeah, so absolutely, to first address, yes, there will be someone outside at all times. And like I said, the L-shaped entrance, very funneled, very narrow, only one or two people can come in and then actually experience the space. That's going to also have another person to ensure bad actors stay out. Relative to the basement access, the patrons, the customers, they're not getting access to that. They have only access to the main floor, that store front, if you would, as well as that classroom, if that's opened. That's it. There is no access going beyond that. So that's strictly for our purposes. Like I said, we're going to take every measure to ensure that we have the proper filters and carbon filters installed. But that basement area is very small, so there won't be too much going on there. And if there's any necessary steps to help protect and keep separate, we're also willing and able to do that as well.
Great, thank you. Would you also be willing to maybe like talk to this building? I'm wondering if the next hands up are also residents. It seems like they do have an organized group, and it might ease their concerns if you all like scheduled a separate Zoom meeting outside of this community board meeting. Is that something that you would be amicable to?
Absolutely. In terms of selecting this location, I really did try to scope out the area as much as I could, especially around the schools. I was not going to put my money and efforts towards an area that doesn't fit the criteria of responsibility and what we're trying to do. So we really did try to achieve that. I want to say that part of the nature of the space now is that it's an old pita restaurant, and it's not open. And I feel like we're getting a little bit more attention given that that Mighty Pita, that we, you know, came in and are declaring that we're this cannabis entity. But even with the flyer itself, I think we weren't able to dispel and you know, say that we're a micro business with the mission and goals that we're doing, with the flexibility and openness that we have with the community. So yes, I would absolutely love to talk to all those that would love to sit down and truly figure this out for the community. Because the reality is, New York is it's coming. There was 6,900 applications. And
it's here already, so we're dealing with it. But yeah, we just want to support legal operations, and that's why you're here tonight. Sharon Klapka.
Yes, hi, can you hear me?
We can.
Hi, great. Good evening. I will be brief. I will just add to the questions that were asked before. I understand the security measures that are going to be taken inside the store, but I still haven't really understood what you're going to do, or honestly, I don't think you can, to mitigate the congregation that you're going to have outside, because you can only entertain 1 to 2 customers at a time. And then when you say that you're going to ask, people, that you don't want as customers to leave, they're still going to leave, they're still going to arrive and still going to, you're protecting your store, but then they're going to go outside into our community. And then lastly, if there is no consumption inside the store, which again will probably emanate smells into the building, so the consumption is going to be outside of your store, either on 23rd Street or going on First Avenue, which is again outside the building. So I'm again wondering, do you even have the ability to mitigate all of those things? Because honestly, it doesn't sound like you do.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like the dilemma of a nightclub, right? And them trying to manage all of the patrons that are waiting to come in, and they can't have a line outside. We're not here to create a line. So when I mentioned the narrow front, it wasn't that just 2 individuals would come in. I think we're flexible with that number, and whatever makes sense for you guys. If it's 4 or 5, that's fine. We're not here to create a line, so there's not going to be posts outside, and the individual standing outside is to ensure the safety and a clean environment in front of the store, and greeting folks as they enter. So there's things that we can control today, right now, as I heard, you guys are already having the smells, you guys are already potentially having your experiences without anyone being there. So and not to mention with the McDonald's feet away, there is natural foot traffic that happens, and this is Manhattan. So I would hope that there is some support towards, we are trying to do our very best towards making sure that we listen to the pulse, we act on the pulse, and we do everything with that within our powers. But public streets are public streets. And we will do everything we can. Part of what we want to do with New York City is to create designated smoking areas. That's a whole mission that we have on the back end, because we understand with all these thousands of dispensaries coming up, there's going to be a need for the proper places to consume. And New York has to somewhat figure that out with and in combination with these dispensaries, or else we will have this dilemma in front of every single dispensary. But I just hope that you guys understand that we have all 100% willingness to work with and understand what the problems are and really find solutions to mitigate that. We truly push proper consumption, healthy consumption, dosing, responsibility, and responsibility means consuming in the right way. So, it's not just about teaching an individual that they should have it in a safety bag away from their children locked. It's also about making sure that they know they just can't do it just anywhere.
Great, thank you so much. I see a question from Kathleen Landucci. And you're on mute, so okay.
Okay, hi, yes, I also live in the building. I live on the 2nd floor. So as it is, I mean, I smell cigarettes going by. Again, as it was mentioned, we're trying to have no smoking of any kind in the entire building, but then we've got a person moving in who's not only allowing it to be smoked on their premises, it will be smoked outside of your store, because there's no way that you can control that, and you're growing it there. And from experiences in the past, marijuana gives off a very strong scent of growing. And I understand you're trying to put filters and all these things into place, but I mean, there you're growing it, you're smoking it, and we're trying to have a non-smoking building. I mean, there's a lot of children in this building. My daughter, who's very impressionable age at 12, walks past that every single day to go to school. And I understand you want to educate the community, but I don't want you to educate my 12-year-old that it's okay. You know, so I mean, it seems like a lot of this education events are geared toward
But is there a
adults.
question here? We hear you, but is there a question that you have specifically for this application?
I guess the question is, you know, like, I mean, you say you're not planning currently to have smoking on the premises, but is that something that you could put into writing, or so that this doesn't change in the near future or future?
We'll
Absolutely.
consider that as a committee. Next up, Jillian Carey.
Can you hear me?
We
Yes.
can.
Hi,
If you have any
thanks everyone. Thanks everyone. Yeah. You might know, but we had a major drug problem for like people congregating outside that door for basically years. So I guess sort of two questions. One, how do you prevent those people from now feeling super at home to come back and move back into the space that they were in previously? And two, it seems like if we're growing there, we're basically like inviting prospective drug dealers from all over the city to come to this area. And how does that not put our community in a lot of danger?
Yeah, the growing to, so you guys understand.
You have touched on a lot of the concerns so far. So if this could be like a brief answer to our question, I also would implore everyone who has safety concerns to go to our Community Board 6 public safety meetings, because this really, you know, once it comes out on the sidewalk, it becomes an enforcement issue for NYPD to address. This doesn't really apply to the business specifically. So again, I'll let you respond to Jillian, but you have been responsive and answered this question in a few different ways already. So
With the small space, we are looking to have small tents and have the proper growing conditions that will ensure that it is managed accordingly, smell doesn't leave, and the product is right. All those things are all there. Again, we are not fixed, we are not closed. We are very open-minded and willing to help and have a handshake towards what works. So I hope that's I hope you guys understand that.
great, thank you.
Yeah, make it quick. Yeah, I just remembered, somebody said playground. That's right. Directly across the street is the entrance to that open air playground. That's enough for me to say I'm going to abstain.
Where's the playground?
That's a playground?
Yeah, but there's the entrance right there.
Where's?
Right.
Isn't it just like an open?
It's an entrance to the playground. I go by there a lot. I think Susan probably knows if you walk through there.
Like.
It's an open air
playground?
playground, yes, with equipment and everything.
Can you go back in time, see more dates?
See more dates.
Yeah, I think what Kevin, correct me if I'm
Or
wrong,
is it
we're
like
talking
top
about in
space?
between these buildings.
Yeah, the
you have to
corridor is
go-
here. You go in and around. Yeah.
So you have to walk through the two buildings
Okay.
to get to the playground.
That,
So there's a playground in the area.
across the street.
And
Are there any?
just to clarify a little bit, guys, when it comes to vertically integrating, we can also potentially shift away from the grow. Part of the micro business allows us to just do other steps, right? So process, distribute, etc. So again, we can shrink this as much as we want or expand it to the size of what it can be. But in terms of the area, there is not, I would love to know where this playground is.
You should know.
Well,
I don't think you maybe can zoom. There it is. You can see the equipment there. I think, yeah, behind there.
No, I can't. I can see it.
Okay, well, it's clearly across the street, believe me. Those that know, maybe they're online, that live across the street can verify that.
All right. Now, does the law say
Can we not get into
Sorry?
this right now?
it has to be a public playground? Because looks like a private playground. within
Right,
the
it's private.
It's open air. It's open air, meaning anybody could walk through and
Yeah.
be there.
We fit the criteria, and I think I tried to make sure that I scoped out the area and knew exactly what was what, especially the school on the corner there. We made sure that there wasn't any churches and schools within the criteria that we have to follow of the 200 feet and the 500 feet.
I think we've had a thorough discussion, and unless there are other issues to be raised by members of the committee, I call the question and make a motion of no objection.
Second.
Thank you.
So we can go to the.
It isn't up on the screen.
Yes, I'm sorry. It's a resolution of no objection, for.
Brian, it's not on the screen.
Oh.
While Brian pulls that up, people from the building that were here, please reach out to the community board office, and they can put you in touch with the applicant directly, so you can, keep this communication open and maybe invite them to one of your board meetings, to learn more. Thanks.
So it's a resolution of no objection, for a new license to operate a micro business for Green Club Inc., doing business as to be determined, or
You can have it as Green Club.
as Green Club at 352 East 23rd Street. And Green Club is 2 words.
Yes.
Whereas Angelo LaRoche, applicant, and Elizabeth Priya Kumar, applicant, appeared before the Business Affairs and Licensing Committee of Manhattan Community Board 6 on January 4th, 2024. CB6 having jurisdiction of the premises in the license application process. Whereas the establishment proposes to operate as a micro business. And I know we touched on this, but whereas the establishment's proposed hours of operation are
TBD.
I would rather have something in here.
We can put 10 to 10 p.m.
PM 7 days a week.
Yeah.
And then, are there stipulations that the committee would like to include?
We didn't have any stipulations.
Whereas some members of the community had comment against. Therefore, be it resolved that pursuant to the presentation made by the applicant at the meeting of the Business Affairs and Licensing Committee held on January 4th, 2024, and pursuant to all other considerations, CB6 had no objection to the application so long as the applicant adheres the representations made by the applicant to the committee. Be it further resolved, as we said before, if the OCM application differs from what has been presented to the committee, then
we oppose it.
Then, yeah, Board 6 would oppose it. I will take a vote by roll call. When your name is called, please answer in favor, opposed, abstain, entitled. Claire Brennan.
In favor.
Thank you. Paige Judge.
In favor.
Thank you. John Keller.
In favor.
Thank you. Anton Mullner.
In favor.
Thank you. Kevin O'Keefe.
Abstain.
Abstain. Thank you. Susan Steinberg.
In favor.
Thank you. David Lowenstein.
In favor.
Thank you. Joe Jones with us. So with 6 votes in favor, 1 abstention, 0 opposed, and 0 not entitled, the motion passes.
Great. Thank you both for joining. We wish you the best of luck. It's very clear that you thought a lot about this establishment, and we're excited to visit once you open. So thank you and best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, next up, we are crunching away. A cannabis retail dispensary license for Errol Moliere, doing business as Downtown Brands at 352. Oh, no, sorry, at 338 East 49th Street. Is there a representative here from Downtown Brands?
Yes, there is. I'm Kimball Cannon. I am the representative for Errol Moliere and Downtown Brands, Inc. I'm also the general counsel of MedMen, which is a publicly traded cannabis company, which is also the landlord here. And I'll explain what our relationship is as part of this. But I appreciate the board spending time, and particularly Brian Lafferty and his diligence in getting us all here. He really went above and beyond, and really appreciate it. Also appreciate the opportunity to hear some of these other applicants, especially the last group that I think really did a wonderful job of representing what cannabis ought to be. I teach cannabis law at UCLA, cannabis regulation and regulatory law, and work with a lot of social equity applicants. I've worked with Errol Moliere since he was a card applicant. He is a general applicant here, and he is applying with real estate that MedMen has leased since January 2017 for purposes of opening a retail cannabis dispensary. We've not been able to use the real estate because we have already reached the maximum number of stores that we can operate in New York State. And so we are sponsoring Errol. We're going to sublease to him and probably absorb some of his costs, you know, on the lease. We're also going to donate the fixtures, but he's going to own the business entirely himself. I'm going to provide regulatory and compliance advice, as I do with a large number of operators across the country. It is a complicated industry, and it's hard to do right, particularly in a state like New York, where you've got a lot of black market. So we just really try to set up people for success and help them to compete in an unfair environment. But the objective here is to, you know, get this real estate off of MedMen's books. We spend about $350,000 per month renting real estate in Manhattan that we can't use. And so we're trying to get this in the hands of qualified social equity applicants like Errol, who's got a past cannabis conviction. He's African-American, he's run a small business. People that we think can be successful in giving them support that they need. This location has 4,730 square feet. It's not going to be all utilized for retail space. The retail floor will be only about 1,000 square feet. The rest will be back office, and some of it probably won't be utilized. But we've been paying the full rent on this for 7 years. So it's a big relief for us to find somebody who could possibly operate this as a successful business rather than as a dark tenant for such a long period of time. You know, it's going to be fully compliant with state regulations. It's going to, as with all of our properties, we have a very strong compliance record. It's going to have, you know, the third-party security personnel. It's going to, you know, have absolutely no consumption either in the premises or around it. In some of the places where MedMen operates, if you were to smell cannabis within a couple hundred feet of a store, you get shut down. So, you know, policing the area around the dispensary is important for us, even if it's not required. Nothing may be opened on site. This is retail only. There's no on-site consumption. We don't have manufacturing or cultivation. It's just retail. It tends to be fairly high-end retail. We got well known for having the Apple stores of cannabis. We're very high-end. We operate location on Fifth Avenue, which, you know, is medical only. We don't have any recreational in New York. It's all medical for us, but this will be medical because as a social equity applicant, we'll be able to operate, you know, with a broader scope. We hope to create local jobs with this business. We hope to give back to the community as we always do. We have a section of all the stores, including the social equity stores, where it's dedicated to local manufacturers. So we do try to create a small ecosystem of local cannabis legal operators and support them. Let me think about what else might be relevant. I think that's most of it. I don't want to go too long, but I'm glad to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Did they answer a questionnaire?
They did submit a questionnaire, but it was submitted this morning. We did have, as was alluded to, we did have a little bit of a difficulty getting in touch with them and getting responses from them. Up until this morning, we weren't even sure if they were coming, but then we did hear that they were. Can you explain a little bit why it was so difficult to get responses to our invitations to appear at this meeting?
Yeah, Errol's had COVID really badly for the last month and a half, and he's still pretty sick with secondary, I guess, symptoms. So everybody on our side's been sick with something, but he's been very sick. So I've kind of stepped in and tried to help out a little bit more than usual.
Kevin?
Yeah, one of the questions on the questionnaire is about outreach to community, which is very important, I think, especially since you're on a very residential heavy side street. Can you talk about any community engagement you have to get their feedback?
Yeah, we haven't done a lot with the community yet. We've rented this spot for 7 years, specifically to open up a cannabis store for MedMen, and we've never been able to move forward with it. In our other locations that MedMen operates in New York, including Fifth Avenue, we're very involved with the local community and have, you know, cross-promotional and programs with folks that run businesses on the block. That is important to us. For Errol, I know he's a member. I'm from New York. He's lived in Brooklyn and Manhattan for his entire life. I know that local community outreach is going to be important to him, but we have not started that process yet for this location.
Not in the 7 years that you've had the lease.
No, we opened.
It's okay, it's okay.
Yeah, we're at our maximum. We can't use it, unfortunately.
Are there any other questions?
Yeah, just I do, and I want to just to bring up a note because I know you're a multi-state operator, correct?
We are, yeah. MedMen is, yes.
Yeah, I think we just need to be careful when, at least that we're aware that there's ROs, which are registered orgs, and MSOs, multi-state operators. These are the well-financed big companies already in or getting in the cannabis game that are hurting small cannabis businesses. I brought this up at the full board meeting last fall, but some are already established as medical marijuana outfits. Now, a few days ago, the State Cannabis and Control Board discussed this, and there were 2 ROs up for approval. Each failed to gain the support of the 5-member board. For each, only 2 members were in favor, 2 abstained, and 1 recused herself. Can you, and then Green Market Report had a story about this today. Can you discuss how or you are or not impacting the small mom and pop cannabis operators?
Well, again, our sole role here is in trying to, get somebody else who can use real estate that we can't use. So we have no ownership interest. We're not lending any money. I'm providing regulatory advice because I teach cannabis law and I, have a clinical program where I help social equity applicants do this, because I think it's a good thing to do. But we don't have any economic interest at all other than having real estate that we can give to somebody who can maybe utilize it. The MSOs have big restrictions in New York. So the MSOs in New York, and there were originally 10 of them. I think there might be 8 that still have operational licenses. They are vertical. They have manufacturing, cultivation, and medical sales. They can't have retail, so they don't compete with, with retail operators. We don't. MedMen only has medical, so you have to have a doctor's note and come in, and it's a very limited market. And we've got a store on Fifth Avenue. We've got one in Lake Success, one in Syracuse, and one in Buffalo. And they do okay, but they're purely medical, which, I think that the risk to small legal operators probably isn't the MSO, since they can only take people with doctor's notes. It's probably the black market. It's the illegal operators, which present both I think a public health risk and a real competitive risk. I've helped 18 social equity applicants open stores across the country, and their biggest competitive risk really is the black market shop down the street that doesn't pay its taxes, that is not compliant with regulations. It's enormously expensive to run these businesses, right, and complicated. I used to be a bank M&A lawyer, where I had highly regulated transactions with the Fed and the FDIC. And these transactions are much more complex. With all the
Irrelevant. This is interesting, but irrelevant.
It's about small business people that we're trying to protect, at least for me. I like to protect small business. That's all. And I just wanted to get your impact. For me, it's very important.
Yeah, and absolutely. And that's why I help the social equities try to get licenses.
Thank you very much.
Are there any other questions? I see a question. Is this from this one? Yeah. How will the security be done as the door to the store and the door to the apartment building are within? Can you talk a little bit? This is another question that's in our questionnaire, so we would have had this if you responded to that. What are the security measures that you all are taking or plan to take?
So we will have obviously live third-party security on site. All IDs will be checked when people come to the door. We have usually madlocks on doors. We have very high security door systems in place for operating stores. We will not allow people to congregate outside of the store. It really hasn't been much of a problem, honestly, that there aren't the crowds, or there are no crowds, but if there were, we would not allow congregation outside of the store.
Through like
It's a fairly large space, and so I think if we said that's going to be an issue, we'll be able to have an internal waiting room, because we've got almost 5,000 square feet.
Are there any other questions?
I think make a motion of no objection if we can do a stipulation that does say that MadMed is not financially profiting from this social equity applicant. If that's fair, to me, that's good enough for a yes.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, if anything, we'll be making our charitable contribution here. So,
Okay. So if I could get a second, but I would like that stipulation.
Second with the stipulation.
All right, so I pull up the template.
Okay.
Sorry?
I'm just trying to,
A template
yeah, look, we're trying to template everybody.
for this one, maybe not because there wasn't a questionnaire.
Let's see.
Sorry.
No, there doesn't appear to be one.
So this is
Yeah, if there's no,
338 East 49.
if there's no template, I would
No.
suggest we do a
There it is.
motion.
Yeah,
There
it's
is.
here. Sorry,
It was-
my apologies.
It was named something different.
Yes, I think, because the questionnaire had a different name, we changed it. So this is a resolution of no objection for a new license to operate a cannabis retail dispensary. I believe the questionnaire said Downtown Brands Inc. Is that correct?
yeah, it's Downtown Brands Inc. and it's Errol Molieri is the owner of it.
Okay, and that they're doing business as Downtown Brands at 338 East 49th Street. Whereas Kimball Cannon, representative, appeared before the Business Affairs and Licensing Committee of Manhattan Community Board 6 on January 4th, 2024. CB6 having jurisdiction of the premises in the license application process. Whereas the establishment proposes to operate as a cannabis retail dispensary. Whereas the establishment's proposed hours of operation, I'm sorry, can you go over those with us?
Yeah, we can do. It'll likely be shorter, but I think maybe if we put 10 to 10, that would, like the last group, that would be fine.
I think it was 10 to 8 on the application,
Was there?
In the questionnaire,
in the questionnaire.
That's fine as well.
10 AM to 8 PM, 7 days a week.
Well, there is a question.
Yeah.
This morning. Right.
Whereas, Kevin, you.
Well, just, that Mad Men, and I guess, isn't Lux Light also a part of your business? That basically that, you will not be, profiting from this social equities, cannabis sales. Is that, somebody want to wordsmith that? Is that fair?
That's fair. That's fine. No
Okay.
ownership, no, whatever language, they won't have any involvement in the ownership or operation other than
Mad Men,
advice.
and Lux Light, LUXLYTE, capital L, one word.
What is that?
That's their sister business. Will not profit from the social equity clients' cannabis sales.
Can we do 10 to 10 for the, or do we have to do 10 to 8? I just don't know what the intention is. Or how they even can stay open.
Fine.
This is a completely residential block.
Or is it not fun?
Fine.
I think 10 to 10 is okay.
Okay.
Sorry.
10 AM to 10
We're gonna
PM,
be
7
here
days
till
a week.
10.
Okay, any further stipulations or is it?
Should we put a few words as to, so for those who may not be watching this meeting, as to what MedMen and Lux Light's relationship are to the applicant?
Mhm.
A succinct,
Yeah, we could do that. We could say, I mean, MedMen is the landlord, right? So MedMen has a 10-year lease on the property for the purpose of operating a cannabis dispensary, but is unable to utilize it, and so is subletting it to a social equity applicant who can utilize it.
So the descriptor is landlord on the Mad Men, is that what you're suggesting?
I guess it would be, since they're not the ultimate owner, they're the sublessor, right? Sublessor and sublessee, sublessor.
And then, what's the relationship of Lux Light?
Looks like a brand. It's like a brand of vape pens it's owned by MedMen. It's not an actual
Let's get Lux Light.
brand. Yeah.
Well, they could just shuffle the money to Lux Light. Why won't we put it in? I mean,
Because they probably have other brands too. Are we gonna list it?
I'm not aware of any other brands they have.
There's MedMen Red, but they're just a brand. It's not a entity.
Not just any ancillary Mad Men, anything that Mad Men owns.
And any.
Yeah, there's another entity in New York. It's called Bloomfield. Bloomfield is the New York subsidiary.
And any entities.
Entities?
Yeah.
Yeah, so MedMen's the public company, then Bloomfield is the New York entity. Also might want to add MedMen New York Inc. Those three entities would capture it.
I think this is fine to say this way.
Okay, so whereas MedMen, the sublessor, and any related entities will not be profiting or will not profit.
Well, not related, because the social equity client is related. It's owned or anything that they have ownership in. MedMen.
Any entities that MedMen has ownership of, will not profit from the social equity client's cannabis sales.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they would be prohibited anyway by the OCM because ROs can't have an ownership interest. I don't believe, but discovered.
We're just gonna say it.
Okay, whereas no members of the community had any comments for or against, see the hands raised, Therefore be it resolved that pursuant to the presentation made by the representative at the meeting of the Business Affairs and Licensing Committee held on January 4th, 2024, and pursuant to all other considerations, CB6 has no objection to the application, so long as the applicant adheres to all the representations made by the representative to the committee. And then, as we've said several times this evening, be it further resolved that if there are any misrepresentations or differences between what has been represented and the entity's operations, then CB6 opposes.
Sounds good. Thank you, Brian.
Now, one other question, Errol may have a better name he wants to use than Downtown Brands for the actual store. Would he be able to use a different name if he wanted to? That's his company name, but.
To be determined, doing
Yeah.
business is to be determined.
Let's put TBD if it's not certain.
Yeah, because I just don't want to limit him if he's got other ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Trouble.
Okay.
Great. All right. Roll call. So we will now take a roll call vote. When your name is called, please enter in favor, oppose, abstain, or not entitled. Claire Brennan.
In favor.
Thank you. Paige Judge.
In favor.
Thank you. John Keller.
In favor.
Thank you. Anton Mulner.
In favor.
Thank you. Evan O'Keefe.
In favor.
Thank you. Susan Steinberg.
In favor.
Thank you. David Orton is not with us, and Gerald Jones is not with us. So with 6 votes in favor, 0 opposed, 0 abstaining, and 0 not entitled, the motion passes.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Haney.
you, much appreciated.
Take care. Good luck. Okay, great. So the next items on the agenda, number 8 through 11 have previously appeared on the agenda.
There's this number 6. It's a liquor license.
Oops,
Yes, we skipped one.
skip that, sorry. Sorry. Miss Lee, that was my fault. So now we have a new application and temporary retail permit on premises for GTSG Restaurant Corp. doing business as pending at 821 Second Avenue. And again, I'm sorry for skipping you, but thank you for being here tonight. Can you walk us through your application?
Yes, it's got, this location used to be it was Sushi Time before. I think they vacated early 2022 because their license expired at the end of February and they did not renew. So I'm assuming they vacated. This was empty for quite a while until my client, he's turning it into a Greek tavern. He's not sure. I'm not sure of the exact DBA name. It's Greek Taverna or Greek Tavern, but it's going to be a Greek restaurant operating 7 days from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. They'll have 11 tables and 30 seats to the right of the entrance, to the right of the on the right hand side, because it's a long, narrow restaurant, 15 by 77 feet. And there will be an L-shaped bar with 9 seats. So total seating will be 39 seats. They'll have third-party deliveries. Background music, no live music, no DJs, no promoted events. They do have a basement, but it's for storage where the walk-in boxes are, and there's an additional restroom for the employees and 1 restroom on the first floor for the customers. No outside seating. I'm just to make sure we don't come back. We're asking for 12 a.m. on Fridays and Saturdays because I'm not sure if he's going to extend the hours during the warmer seasons. And if that's okay with the committee board, we like to ask for 11 p.m. closure on Sunday to Thursday, and Friday and Saturdays only 12 a.m. closure, please.
Great. Thank you so much. Are there any questions? Seems pretty benign to me, so hopefully not. Are there any motions? Anton?
Not a question, but I just wish you the best of luck because you're next door to John's Coffee Shop and it's probably the most popular coffee shop in that area. And you're, on the other side, you have two other restaurants, so best of luck.
Thank you so much.
Is there a motion
Motion of
here?
no objection.
Thank you. Oh, there is a raised hand, sorry.
There's
Oh.
a member of the board who is not on this committee wishes to have the floor.
And I think you joined a little late and I asked people to be very brief. Because I have a wedding. to-
I will be brief. I am speaking as a member of the community who lives just a couple of blocks from there. And I was super excited when I saw the sign go up. So I am speaking as a member of the community very much in favor of this. And I can't wait till you open.
Thank you.
Thanks, Anne. Okay, so we had a motion that Susan raised, I think, and someone.
Oh, I believe I jumped in
wants to
before Jen.
comment.
If you want to get it.
Kevin,
Okay.
Kevin seconded, so let's pull up the resolution if possible. I just want to say, it's not easy to be the Zoom master. So Brian, you're doing a great job and thank you so much.
Okay, so we have a resolution of no objection for a new on-premises license with a temporary permit for GTSG Restaurant Corp. Now, I think you said you weren't sure exactly what
It's gonna be Greek Taverna or Greek Tavern, because outside sign says Greek Tavern, but the menu says with an A.
We can just say TBD
Yeah.
for now.
Doing business as to be determined at 821 Second Avenue. Whereas Ellen Lee, representative, appeared before the Business Affairs and Licensing Committee of Manhattan Community Board 6 on January 4th, 2024. CB6 having jurisdiction of the premises in the license application process. Whereas the establishment proposes to operate as a Greek restaurant or a Greek tavern. Whereas the establishment's proposed hours of operation, I think you mentioned slightly different hours from the questionnaire. You said 11:30 a.m. to midnight, I think on Fridays and Saturdays.
On Fridays and Saturdays, please.
Okay, and the hours for Sunday through Thursday again were
11 p.m. closure.
11:30 a.m. to 11
Yeah.
p.m. Sundays through Thursdays.
Yes.
And we had no stipulations and spoke in favor. I'm not sure.
Where one member of the community had
One member of the
for.
community, spoke for.
Spoke in favor.
Spoke in favor of the application for applicant. Therefore, be it resolved that pursuant to the presentation made by the representative at the meeting of the Business Affairs and Licensing Committee held on January 4th, 2024, and pursuant to all other considerations, CB6 has no objection to the application, so long as the applicant adheres to all the representations made by the representative to the committee, and as we said, the last clause, just as if anything differs from the presentation in the SLA application, then CB6 opposes it.
Great. Let's do a vote.
Okay, we'll take a roll call vote. I call your name, please respond in favor, opposed, abstain, or not entitled. Claire Brennan.
In favor.
Thank you. Paige Judge.
In favor.
Thank you. John Keller.
In favor.
Thank you. Anton Mulner.
In favor.
Thank you. Kevin O'Keefe.
In favor.
Thank you. Susan Steinberg.
In favor.
Thank you. David Lowenstein. Is not with us, and Gerald Jones is not with us. But 6 votes in favor, 0 opposed, 0 abstaining, and 0 abstaining with the clause are not entitled. The motion passes.
Thank you so much for
Thank you so
joining us. Good luck and apologies again for
No,
skipping.
it's okay. Thank you. Good night. Thank you.
Take care. Good night. So as I was saying, number 8 through 11 were withdrawn because they were initial, as we can all see, they represent the same address as the applicant that just appeared before us. And for transparency, we just kept them on the agenda to say that they were on the agenda and then removed. Is there anything you wanted to add about that, Jesus, or that's?
No,
the gist?
it's so long as it can be reflected in the minutes that why the committee asked for them at last month's meeting for them to be here and then why they're not. That explains it.
So I think that kind of is going through those agenda items. And now we are on item number 12. A cannabis retail dispensary license for 201 East 30th Corp. Doing business as Smiley Exotics at 201 East 30th Street. So this is an application who did come before us previously. And now they're reapplying.
They came before the committee in April of 2023. A resolution of no objection was passed at May 2023's full board. The application was for an establishment that would be delivery only. Over the holiday break, it seems like changes have been made, I suppose. I'm not the best person to speak about that, but that's why they are back. Because they are now applying to be a proper as a dispensary that will have walk-in hours and the like.
Mm-hmm. And so this is one that, since we received it only a few days ago.
Yeah, you received it on the 3rd, I believe.
I think it's the second.
The second, yeah.
So we have time to invite them to our next committee meeting. If that's what we choose, obviously, there's no representative here. This is going back to how we're doing this for now, kind of receiving these and then asking for the additional 30 days that OCM grants us as a community board to kind of extend our inquiry and investigation process. So I think that we should invite them to back to our committee for next month, which is only in a few short weeks because this was pushed to January. This is technically the December meeting. And yeah, I think that is kind of like the best course of action here. Anton?
Yeah, as I recall from our last meeting, we had a lot of issues, particularly in distancing from various schools and houses of worship. And I think the court came to conclusions, this is the delivery only, to be blacked out windows, there wasn't going to be retail traffic going in and out. Okay, well, consider it. Now, this is completely different. It's completely new. It's like another company coming
So we
in.
should invite them back to.
They gotta come back.
If I may, they may open tomorrow. So as a full-blown dispensary. So I learned on December 22nd
Okay,
that.
this is gonna be
Well,
quick.
should it be quick or should this
I
is?
think it should be quick.
We have a lot of people that are really concerned about what some people, one person who lives in the neighborhood, Sandy knows this, said, and I'm not gonna use the word exactly, but they said, this is a bait and switch FU to the community, what they've done. Okay, I hear comments like this every day.
Relax.
I'm
You could
just
read
saying.
What you were gonna say.
I'll
but-
relax, but I kind of love this community and I'm gonna tell you what community members tell me every
Okay, I'm
day.
a community member too.
Okay, so they feel that this, I've been in the store, I've been with Mike Gant 3 times, who's the owner. He says he's looking to open tomorrow as a full-blown dispensary. They have signage out front that says dispensary. They have neon signs that glow at night. This is not what the resolution we passed was against this explicitly. We have a resolution that is against what they're doing and they're in defiance of our resolution. So what are we doing about it? Just saying, let's come back next month after they open for a month, possibly? I don't think this is right. And it also shows, do we really have any input? Because the OCM obviously gave them a license without telling us. I found out because of my own investigation that they had this license from OCM and they admitted that they did. And they admitted they didn't contact the community board.
Well, if they have a license from OCM, what are we supposed to be doing? I mean, how can we enforce it?
That's Anton's point too, right?
So are we not gonna invite them back?
I think we should be inviting the OCM here.
We do every month.
Well, we have unanswered questions. Anton and I put together a list of questions. A lot of them haven't been answered.
I mean, what?
No, OCM. No,
I know,
I think we all agree that
want them to
OCM
be
is not
here. We need
perfect.
Clarity,
Yeah.
but I mean, in this situation, like the resolution was very clear that we had stipulations and it seems that they are going against what our advice and advisory role kind of produced. I think at this point, it's unfortunate, sad and upsetting, but I don't really know what else.
I think we should have OCM come to a meeting and talk to them.
Right.
If that's
I think
at all possible.
This is a little different because, I mean, again, we like invite, OCM isn't gonna come to one of our meetings, sadly, they're like severely overstaffed or understaffed, overworked. We've asked them to come like multiple times and they just
What
aren't.
about a letter to them?
Maybe, next month we can kind of think about a letter,
When are you coming back from your cannabis?
yeah. I'm like, you all can figure this out, Sandy. Oh, and Paige, Paige, sorry, can I? Paige,
go ahead.
Paige, we see your hand. You can ask your question.
Not a question. I'd like to make a motion of, to turn down this one officially. I don't think we should wait for anybody else. They did exactly what they told us they wouldn't do. And it's neon signs. This is.
Glow in the dark is, I think is a probably better phrase, but yeah.
Okay, sorry. Paige, I'm just gonna put you, pause on you for 1 second. I think Sandy has something to say.
I just, I mean, I think a good course of action is to ask them to come back. We need to talk to OCM. We need to find out what happened, how this would go forward. So I strongly recommend that we investigate, find out as much as we can and address this.
I think, it's a good idea, but I don't think, as Claire says, they're gonna come to our meeting. I think we gotta get a number of community boards together to put this question to OCM to attend the meetings of a group of us. And just maybe the heads of the businesses or the business committees or the chairs to answer the questions that we have brought up. I mean, we're not the only ones that have the same questions. There are other community boards that will not even look at these applications because they feel it's a waste of their time. Because the Office of Cannabis Management doesn't pay attention, doesn't care. So why should they be wasting their time to review these? I mean, it's nice to know which businesses to support small businesses, but there's a point at which it's not gonna matter.
And they did have that meeting, and I believe that you went, Anton, to the last, which was, and the borough president organized it. And unfortunately, there were still a lot of open-ended questions, like questions were asked and it's still open-ended. So we can certainly ask that the borough president address this again. But I think we need to have some facts and actually bring this forward, to the next level.
I agree with that. I think that, we need to come, especially since the next meeting is only in a couple of weeks, to put this, as Anton has described it, on the agenda. as for this company here, I mean, I find it hard to disagree with Paige that, you know, they've totally ignored us. And, you know, I would support a resolution for what it's worth of objection, but I would like to defer the valuable point and question that Anton is raising to a further discussion.
Well,
In a short period of time.
Sorry, I just want to say, when we have a liquor license that totally misrepresents, we've done this a number of times, we do not approve that license.
I just said that photograph.
Right, but what I'm saying is that we're at that point now. I second Paige's motion.
That's what we need. So Paige put out a motion of objection to this application, because it's a new application now, so, and then Kevin seconded it. So this would be, we don't care, not inviting you back to explain, we've done for a committee.
I guess for a logistical question, if Kevin has mentioned that this applicant has a license already. So if it can't be a traditional letter of objection, because with traditional letters of objection, the applicant doesn't yet have the license. If this is correct and they actually do, then it should be a different kind of resolution of objection in which we state we have these grievances because other applicants don't have licenses, assuming that's correct.
Right, thank you for saying that, because that's what they told me. But then again, I asked Mike, I said, show me what you have in the store that shows that you have a license. He did show me that sticker, the golden sticker where, you know, you put on to show your. But again, is that for delivery only? Well, the point is, we don't even know if they're like, got it for delivery only, but they're gonna say, you know what, we've lost so much money because we've been waiting around. We're just gonna go all out here and see, let somebody try to stop us. So I'm not so sure when they say they had, Heidi Palmer, the business rep said, we have approval from OCM to turn into a full-blown dispensary. You're right. Do we have proof 100%? No.
A follow-up question, and this is, I guess, related to a point Sandy made earlier. If in fact their opening is imminent, and that is an argument for not inviting them back in 3 weeks' time, well, a resolution will only come from full board in the middle of next week, so that's still after. So what's the difference in waiting until 3 weeks' time or waiting until the middle of next week? Just from I guess I'm having a hard time seeing.
Well, it shows the community that we have recognized what they did as a misrepresentation, that our resolution was saying that they could not open, but for anything else. Not only that, but it was said publicly that if they did open up anything besides delivery, it would be at another location. So clearly they're in defiance. I think it's enough to take I think we have to take a vote because we have a second.
And just, they actually haven't opened yet. Right, so. I mean,
well, as of 2 o'clock this
I have
afternoon.
Get some of the facts, put this together and, you know, deal with it in a kind of calm and thoughtful way.
So if they're out selling,
Our resolution isn't going to change that, is it? So let's be considerate and do something that has some bite to it as well.
Does OCM have public records? I mean, could we go and find out whether in fact they have been issued a?
They must. I don't know how.
What about our electeds? I know Brad, well, he's not representing us.
Harvey's all over this.
Yeah.
Harvey's at the point where he's gonna introduce legislation. He told me 2 days ago. We don't have to get into it about OCM. So about how they do public comment. And he was for the original, you know, MRTA. So it's very interesting that he's involved on the other side now. I think that they have clearly shown that they're not a good community partner here. And what do we do about that? Yes, I guess, Sandy, you're right, we can wait. I'm just saying that the sort of pushback from certain community members that will say they're selling stuff. What did the community board or anybody do? And if we say, oh, we're sitting on our hands until the next meeting, that might not sound
Well, because we're
right.
not sitting on our hands.
But that's what they'll interpret. I'm not saying it's right,
Well,
but that's the
I mean,
interpretation.
all they need to do is attend the meeting, right?
Totally.
Well, I think we should need to vote on Paige's resolution and then
And
proceed to
also
deliver
knowing that it doesn't fit into a template, so we kind of go back to like olden days where we assign someone to write the resolution if this passes, but I think we can vote on it now.
Quick procedural question for Jesus, if I may, did you invite them to come to this? meeting?
No, there was no time to, it was so last minute, so we haven't invited them.
So this has to be voted on regardless, and then.
Yes, a Paige has made a motion, it was seconded, so that motion, just so we're clear what it is, needs to be voted on. If it fails, then we move on.
So we're voting on an application that hasn't come before us.
We do have that application.
I thought it was a new application.
An application was submitted, but the initial plan was to have them back for 3 weeks from now, which is the next meeting. Paige has made a motion to deny them outright now. Without inviting them. And that is a resolution that will have to be written after the fact, unless you guys want to write it right now. So.
No.
Excuse me, Jesus.
Yes.
We are not sure whether he opened or not. If they opened, we have to make some kind of a comment. I mean, we're not sure. We are not sure, but if they can open before the 3 weeks, we should make a comment of some form.
Heidi did told me too, I said 11 o'clock, you still planning to open 11? She goes, no, because OCM allows us to go to midnight, so we're looking to definitely stay open past 11.
Let's vote on this.
So then I'll take a vote by roll call, on a motion of objection to a cannabis retail dispensary license for 201 East 30th Court, doing business as Smiley Exotics at 201 East 30th Street. When your name is called, please answer in favor, oppose, abstain, or not entitled. Claire, right.
Opposed.
Paige, Judge.
Favor.
Thank you. John Keller.
Opposed.
Thank you. Anton Mullen.
Opposed.
Thank you. Kevin O'Keefe.
In favor.
Thank you. Susan Steinberg. Opposed. Thank you. David Lordstein and Gerald Jones are not with us. So with 2 votes in favor of the motion and 4 votes opposed, 0 abstentions, and 0 abstentions for cause or not entitled, the motion fails.
At this point, are we able to invite them to the next meeting or?
If the committee wants to invite them to the next meeting, we can certainly extend that invitation. We can also send a question to OCM asking if they can provide some clarity as to
What happened?
what's going on here.
That sounds good to me.
We can ask the question, Charlie.
OCM and notorious for not answering. Well, even elected officials can't get in to get the answers.
We'll be diplomatic. Look, we understand, they oftentimes say that they're building the plane as they're flying in and serving martinis. I'm not sure that's
And the
the brag.
pilot has
that-
jumped out with a parachute. and-
I'm not sure that's the brag that they think it is. But look, we are, subjecting them to ritual humiliation is not going to accomplish anything. So we'll approach them like adults, diplomatically, with respect, and hopefully how they respond to us, we can, hopefully they'll respond. I mean, they're yeah.
And again, rejecting this, and we didn't reject it, but if we did, they would still have the delivery, our delivery support. It's not like we're trying to close down their operation. We're just trying to get them to adhere to what they had promised.
This is maybe you can find out.
Okay.
Well, just transfer.
Next up is my report. And I always have big and great ideas for this, but I think I'm going to waive it at this time, 5 minutes to 9 p.m. Old and new business. I don't have any. So we can skip that for tonight too. Thank you everyone for being here tonight. Is there a motion to?
Motion for
Thank you, Anton. If there are no objections, we will adjourn the meeting. Seeing no further business, the meeting is adjourned at 8:55 p.m.